gonna do some electric guitars. We have a really, really good guitarist, Justin Norman, coming in to lay down some stuff. Now, there's no reason why Morgan nor I couldn't play stuff on this, but Justin adds something that neither of us are gonna think of because we already have done some tracks on this, so he kind of brings a wild card element. So we're doing a pretty standard setup. I think he's gonna probably play his Les Paul. He's got a couple really good pedals, and we're gonna go into this Bad Cat amplifier. I'm a huge fan of super simple amplifiers. I mean, these guys, not a whole lot of knobs, they just sound really, really good. It's like a 112, very good sounding amp. Miking wise, I like to go really simple as well. Usually an SM57, today we're gonna use the Sennheiser 609. Right now it's placed right into the center of the cone, which is gonna give us the brightest sound possible. The more we move it out or angle it out, the darker it's gonna get and warmer. Further away is gonna give us a more diffused sound. Closer in, a little more of a focused sound. I like getting really focused with this stuff. You can always make stuff sound more diffused using reverbs or things like that. So I like to get really tight in there. I'm gonna angle it a little bit out, however, just to take off any harshness that might come out of that speaker. Just a little bit of an angle, and that's usually where I start. We'll go in and listen to it. If I need to change it, I will. Just a quick note in terms of guitar tones. Guitarists and guitar amps and guitar gear, you can get such a wide variety of sounds. It's crazy. I tend to believe that most of the time, the most usable tones are slightly overdriven tones. It's crazy how with a good guitarist, you can get from clean to dirty just by picking a little bit harder. A lot of times when you hear super clean sounds on songs that you like, the amp actually has a little bit of grit in there, it just kind of gets lost in the mix, and we hear it as clean. Likewise, stuff that you hear as really heavy metal sounds have a lot less gain than you think. They're just playing a lot harder. One great example of this to me is Green Day. Green Day's guitar tones always sound super heavy, but if you really broke it down, they're not cranking the gain on the amps. It's just playing really, really hard. So we're gonna go for just a pretty slightly driven tone out of this, but if he needs to get clean, he can just back off a little, and if he needs to get dirty, he can just dig in. And that's kind of my sweet spot that I start with. Obviously, for certain sounds, you need to go extreme one or the other, super clean, super dirty. But generally, I'm just gonna let his fingers do most of the work, and I'm just gonna get a pretty decent sound out of some good gear. We'll also be getting a DI of a signal. We'll show you that in the control room, so I can have, just in case, if I later on decide I need to drastically change the tone, I'll have his direct signal from the guitar as well. Also makes it easier to edit, however, I don't think we'll need to. So we got Justin Norman with us, amazing session guitarist, part of the Hitstorm, which is a production team and session band along with myself and the drummer on this track, Ryan. We have him in the control room, we have the amp in the other room so he's not blowing his face off with the volume in there, even though it's not too loud. I like doing it this way. It's much easier to communicate when the guy's right here. We can mess around with stuff. Now, when we first plugged him in, you can see we're going through a DI as well. I'm getting this, it's gonna get the signal straight out of his guitar, no amp. I have it placed before his effects pedals so that I can get just the clean guitar. There's a very slim chance I'm ever gonna use this in my mix, but if for some reason I needed to change the tone that I couldn't do through the amp we have, I can use this DI and reamp it or use an amp simulator. Also, it makes it a lot easier to edit if you do need to edit electric guitars, to edit from a DI as opposed to editing from the amp tone. Amps by nature really, really compress an electric guitar. All distortion is just an extreme form of compression. So sometimes when you're looking at like a strummed electric guitar as a waveform, it just looks like a fat block and you cannot tell when any of the transients are. You look at the same thing on a DI and it's just a bunch of spikes. It's way easier to read. However, we plugged him in, got him going through the amp, got both signals into the computer, and this is what we heard. This annoying, insane buzzing coming out of the amp. Anytime you're splitting a signal like this, you run into the risk of creating a ground loop, and that's what that is. Luckily, most DI boxes will have a lift. If you never know what this did, it'll say ground lift, or this says pin 1 lift. Click that button, and it is nice and quiet. So if you're getting any weird hums or buzzes when you plug into a DI or you're splitting your signal with anything, try lifting the ground or lifting a pin to try to get rid of that. And now we have an insanely quiet guitar, which is amazing. So we have a slightly driven tone coming out of the amp, and I'm gonna let Justin do most of the work here with his pedals. And actually I'll let him kind of describe to you his pedal board and what he does for sessions and what he gets out of this. So tell me a little bit about your pedal board.
Cool. Yeah, I start with my Ernie Ball volume pedal, and then from there, there's a tuner out so that I don't have to directly go into the tuner. The tuner's on all the time, which is really handy when I'm tracking and in between tracks to kind of see where I'm at. From there, I'm going straight into phase 90, and this is kind of my transient spot. I'll move this guy out depending on what effects I want to use, but it's a safe effect to use most of the time for various different sessions. From there, I go straight into a Boss noise suppressor, and what's cool about these is that they have an effects loop within themselves, and I run 3 separate overdrives into the actual noise suppressor. Because what a lot of guitarists have an issue with is having choked signal by running their noise suppressor straight through overdrives to the front of an amp. And so what happens is you lose a lot of the gain, the hair of the gain, so to speak. And having it run through the effects loop gives the full dynamic of any and all overdrives you want to run through it. Okay, so from there I run straight into my Strymon Flint, a beautiful pedal. It's a tremolo / reverb pedal, and within each side there's 3 different settings. And then I'm running into my Boss Giga Delay, which is very versatile for, again, any session. And then from there I have a pedal that controls my tempo.
Cool, sounds good. So it seems like a lot of pedals and a lot of cables and stuff, but these are, again, all high quality pedals, high quality cables. It's really important. I mean, it's great that he has a noise suppressor and that we have these DI boxes with lifts on them, because you really don't want excess noise on your guitar tracks. These things get crushed, especially if you're using distortion pedals. I mean, you'll hear the noise just crank up. Live in your bedroom, that's fine. A little bit of buzz isn't gonna hurt anyone. But in a track, it can get super annoying. So the quality of the stuff you use, and I mean, I know Justin, I've known Justin for a long time, and he's very meticulous about the cables he uses and making sure there's no excess noise. And even the volume pedal, just something as simple as when he's not tracking, he just cranks it down. There's no volume coming out of it. It's these little things that will drive you nuts in a session. If a guitar is humming away, or if he leans this up and goes to get a cup of coffee and it starts feeding back, that kind of stuff is so annoying. So keeping stuff nice and clean and neat, and even though he's got a ton of stuff on here, it's still a very clean signal. We're getting a really nice low noise signal going into our board. Cool, it looks great. So we're gonna mess around with some tones, mess around with some parts. Now, this stuff, the focus of this song is acoustic guitar and vocal, 100%. Bass and drums and that little extra acoustic and the little tambourine we put on there is adding some rhythmic elements to it. And those are really just kind of energy dictators, right? Ryan's really good at bringing his dynamics up and down to dictate if this is going to be a noisy part of the song, if it's going to be a mellow part of the song. Tambourine as well kind of did that, didn't come in swinging till that bridge part. So this kind of stuff, this is going to be ear candy. This is all fun stuff. Essentially, I don't need Justin to do anything that mimics what the acoustic guitar is doing. I don't want any strummed chords. I don't want anything rhythmic like that. He's going to put some stuff on there that's going to dance around the vocal. But other than that, I'm not going to give him too much direction because I trust him, I trust his ears, and sometimes it's fun to bring in someone else. Even though I've been playing guitar my whole life, I love tracking with Justin because he does things I would never have dreamed of doing. And sometimes it's great to just pick someone out, create a group of friends that you can kind of bounce ideas off of. And sometimes you'd be really surprised at what people can come up with. Even people who aren't guitarists come up with really good guitar ideas because they're thinking from the perspective of a drummer or a singer or something. So you want to just run it and see what kind of fun stuff you can come up with, and then we'll just tweak it from there. All right. All right. Actually play a little bit for me here. I'll just make sure your levels are good. Sounds great. Now, just a quick note, I have his DI recording, but I do not have it coming through the speakers. I don't want to hear it. A DI guitar is generally an awful sound. It's really a utility track. It has nothing to do with the tone. Okay. Group those two together so that they're always getting playlisted together. All right.
from the weight, but I don't mind. If the past is supposed to guide the hand, the future is built on grains of sand. Tear it down, build it stronger than before. Forge it from fire and build it to endure. Steal your heart only for the fight. Tomorrow another day will come, I'm sure. This I'm sure. Only this I'm Is there a final home for all of us? A single path that leads us from the dark. Don't trust your eyes, for they've been known to lie, and that's when the nightmares start. Strike the ground with all your strength. You're the first of many to come. You've known you have outgrown, child. Your work has only just begun. Tear it down, build it stronger than before. Forge it from fire, build it to endure. Steal your heart, but only for the fight. Tomorrow another day will come, I'm sure. This I'm sure. Only this I'm sure. This I'm Point me to the light. Need to break free from what's inside. Future is burning like a beacon in the night. Tell me where to run. I will not stop until it's done. Building it brick by brick, my castle in the sky.
So, yeah, with this tone, that everything you did from like the second post-chorus through pretty much that out was perfect.
Like the octaves.
Yeah, octaves and then the occasional chime on the top kind of
Sure.
thing. Yeah. I think what we're missing from this is a bit of thickness.
Okay.
Acoustics are jangly. The bass even was, I mean, never went to that low E. It always stayed up in the high octave. So I think we're just missing a bit of meat. So yeah, the kind of octave stuff with the occasional bow at the top or whatever is really cool. And then I think for like the noodly stuff in between the vocal, especially in second verse, instead of like your normal rocky guitar stuff, I think it would be cool to do slide or swells.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Just something a little more atmospheric than shreddy McShredders, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, the little octave and stuff like that, that tone's perfect for that. I love it. So I'm gonna get you in first chorus with that kind of, this kind of.
Another day will come, I'm sure. This I'm sure.
And you can dig into a little bit. I'll turn you a little bit down in here so you can push it a little harder. But that's the feeling. Nice. Then switch back real quick. I just want to hear the other. Maybe we'll do one of each. That's very kind of thick mid-range, and that's a little more hairy. All right, cool. Let's try first chorus.
Sad.
Nice. I liked it a lot. I would say for this first chorus, just, you know how you went up second half? Just stay low. Yeah.
Cool.
Because we'll put another one on top of it, and then maybe we'll go in the second chorus, they can both move up. But for this one, yeah, I don't want to give away too much too soon. All right. So same thing. That sounded great, though.
sad.
Punch you in there and just give me a there.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. One, two, three. Nice, great. Yeah, that verse stuff was killer. That was great. Let me just listen real quick. I think you might have fallen for the same trap I did with that change real quick.
The nightmares start. Don't trust your eyes, for they've been known to lie. And that's when the nightmare.
Right there. You just preempt that. The bass and the acoustic are both doing, as opposed to
Known to lie. And that's when the nightmares.
little do. Just so it doesn't rub. Yeah, exactly. That's the one.
Don't trust your eyes, for they've been known to lie. And that's when the nightmares start.
El Perfecto. Let me see if I want this tone in the bridge.
Point me to the light. I need to break free from.
Yeah, I think we can continue octaves there. Yeah. All right, I'll punch you in for bridge.
Building it brick by brick, my castle in the sky.
Me too, just for second half of.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, let's redo that whole take.
Okay.
I felt like my rhythm took me a couple bars to get that strumming.
got it.
Um,
All right.
going-
Here we go. Top of the bridge.
okay.
Going to the light, need to break free from what's inside. Future is burning like a beacon in the night. Tell me where to run, I will not stop until it's done. Building it brick by brick, my castle in the sky.
Pretty.
Yeah, I think it's important when you do these kind of parts. I'm big on voice leading, and sometimes when you're trying to add low texture, it's about less movement and finding what notes within the certain chord will work best without having to jump all over the fretboard, so to speak.
Yeah, sometimes less is more.
Quite often.
Yeah. Remember, a lot of these things, especially in this particular song, I mean, obviously, if this was an AC/DC song, we'd be spending a lot more time working on specific guitar parts and that. But what he's doing now is adding textures to the song. So you don't necessarily need the gnarliest tone and the gnarliest part to add the texture that you want to add. I mean, theoretically, just about anyone who's been playing guitar for a little while can play those octaves, right? A lot of it has to be, why I use Justin is the kind of reserve he has in not shredding all over these tracks. The last thing we want to do is overshadow the vocal. I mean, obviously right now we're listening to just the scratch vocal, but it's good to have in there because sometimes you're so focused on guitar that you create the world's greatest guitar part, and then when you go to mix it at the end, you're like, oh no, the vocal, forgot about that thing. And you end up having to ditch what you had. So yeah, so let's do another one, another kind of octave thing, maybe a harmony to that, but using that other sound. And we can start filling in these gaps. Pan them a little away from each other. All right, so first chorus.
Past is supposed to guide the hand. The future is built on grains of sand.
in there. Get another chick, chick, chick.
Oh, that's right.
Chick, chicks. Yeah. All right, here we go.
Going to the light.
Cool. Now maybe instead of doing a harmony here in this section, we just double up the octaves that you had there.
Yeah.
I think that'll just add, it'll be nice and thick.
Going to Going to the light. Need to break free from what's inside. The future is burning like a beacon in the night. Tell me where to run. I will not stop until it's done. Building it brick by brick, my castle in the sky.
Punch in there.
Ah. Okay, we need-
How do you not remember every note you played? Great, that's awesome.